has it ever occurred to you, if you're an iPhone user since like 2013, that iOS and macOS have looked the same since like 2013 to 2014? Well, that is true. iOS 7 was the biggest redesign that ever happened to the iPhone back at like 2013. And same happened with macOS Yosemite. But ever since then, we've been getting really minor incremental updates to the iOS ecosystem, along with macOS and stuff. But I'm absolutely excited to tell you guys that Apple is going to be flipping the script today, and Apple is going to be announcing some crazy stuff tomorrow at the Worldwide Developer Conference 2025, or as dubbed, WWDC25. So, without further ado, let's go talk about the naming first. Now, for every operating system, Apple is not going to be doing the traditional iOS 19, iPadOS 19, macOS 16, etc. Instead, we're going with one single number, and that is going to be 26. Why? Because, it's going to be present. It's going to be the most latest operating system, namely in 2026. And due to that, Apple decided the name for 2026. Also, if you're client, that's the washing machine. But yeah, it's weird hearing 26 or iOS 26 and macOS 26 since like it was supposed to be announced at WWDC 33, but we haven't. But no, let's go talk about the features. Now, we're going to start off with iOS 26 and iPadOS 26, because those are going to be the biggest dogs in the party. Starting off with iOS, starting off with the big dog for Action Matter of fact, all of the platforms, including macOS 26, tvOS 26, and watchOS 26, Apple's going to be redesigning the whole user interface. Finally, after 12 years, to this whole new visionOS-like design. visionOS, everybody has been asking for Apple to change something and make iOS cool and stuff, and Apple has delivered, or is going to be delivering. iOS 26 is going to look a lot like visionOS, the quote-unquote living glass. It's pretty interesting, and I've been seeing these concepts, and I gotta tell you guys that it is cool. Like, I have kudos to the concept creators who made these concepts. The introduction of iOS 26 and iPadOS 26, Apple's going to be adding 2 new apps this year. Yeah, 2 new apps. Before it was Journal for iOS 17, and now it was Passwords for iOS 18. Now Apple's going to be adding 2 more apps to their products, and that app is going to be named Games and Preview. Preview is basically is a macOS app that lets you preview like PDFs, images, etc. And Games will basically is like a little hub for like all your games and stuff. I've started to play a game or 2 on my iPhone, and I'm not really a huge gamer, but really, as I said, it's going to be useful for many mobile gamers, especially for ones that are really serious in terms of games. Along with that, we also might be seeing some Apple Intelligence features. Not a lot, but some, because of what happened with Apple Intelligence back at when iOS 18 was the latest, or is the latest. Back then, Apple was sued for delaying Apple Intelligence's personalized Siri, and unfortunately, they're not going to deliver on that, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a shame, but we may possibly see a brand new Genmoji feature, or even Gemini and even a new battery management system, which actually the battery management system has the iPhone 17 Air in mind, because the iPhone 17 Air is going to be having a significantly thinner battery, meaning that due to that significantly thinner battery, we may see some worse battery performance with the iPhone 17 Air. In terms of the actual compatibility list, we are going to see 3 phones drop this year. Those include the iPhone XR, the iPhone XS, and the iPhone XS Max. Those are the only phones that are going to be dropped this year, unfortunately. So if you have one of these phones, I do, it's my iPhone XR, you may be out of luck. You can live with the security updates, but if you're planning to get this huge redesign, I would highly recommend you upgrade to a newer iPhone, like an iPhone. Yeah, that means the lowest iPhone you can go if you want to install iOS 26 is an iPhone 11. So yeah, I said, thankfully God, I upgraded to a iPhone 13. Like, I don't know if you can see here because it's filming, but I have an iPhone 13. It's been doing loads of work for me, and I have been liking it. By the way, this iPhone is actually on iOS 18.2 Beta 2, and it's hacked to use to enable Apple Intelligence. With the introduction of macOS 26, we're also going to be seeing the biggest redesign coming to the operating system since macOS Yosemite, similar to iOS 26. No, Apple is not going to wait another year to be able to get to 10.10 like they did with macOS 10.9 Mavericks. They waited another year so they can celebrate the 10th version of macOS X. But this time, Apple is not focusing on that. Apple is planning to do a huge redesign as well on the Mac. So what is Apple going to call it? Apple has been amazing at naming versions on macOS based off California's landmarks. And when they started, it was named Mavericks, Yosemite, El Capitan, Sierra, High Sierra, Mojave, Catalina, Big Sur, Monterey, Ventura, Sonoma, and currently Sequoia. Apple is going to be doing more of the naming game by this year, naming macOS 26 Tahoe. macOS 26 Tahoe is going to be including all the similar features with iOS 26, and yeah, basically, not much to say about macOS 26, but hopefully you get a little surprise. If I am forgetting any features, here are the features that are going to be coming with macOS 26. But the main thing for many people, especially me, is the compatibility list. Now, I personally thought that Apple is going to be discontinuing Intel support for macOS 26 Tahoe. I mean, huge redesign means huge bummers with current products. But this year, Apple is not going to be discontinuing Intel support. In fact, they're only discontinuing 5 Intel Macs, those being the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, the Mac Mini, the iMac Pro, and the iMac from 2019 and 2018. Meaning that due to that, we're going to be having support for older unsupported Macs. Sorry, somebody. Yeah, and what am I talking about unsupported Macs? Why do you think that? Well, it's because a community-driven project named Open Core Legacy Patcher lets you upgrade older unsupported Macs to the latest version. Like, this is a 2009 polycarbonate MacBook Pro. You're going to be able to update this thing to macOS 26 Tahoe. The only worry I have is going to be GPU intensity, because Apple is going to be giving it like a brand new redesign, meaning it might be more GPU dependent. So due to that, it's going to be a bit risky for users to upgrade to macOS 26 knowing that. But hey, I don't know, maybe Open Core has something for it. Maybe macOS doesn't become that GPU dependent. But nonetheless, I have a good GPU. This is inside my Mac Pro 5,1. It's running Sequoia 15.5, and I am absolutely pumped up to upgrade it to macOS 26 Tahoe. Hardware changes this year, we're not gonna see any. The previously mentioned rumor suggested that we were gonna get a Mac Pro with an M3 Ultra chip inside. Unfortunately, that is not the case. That goes the same with the HomePad, maybe. Apple might unveil it, but at the same time, they may not unveil it. Rumors are mixed around if they're gonna unveil it, but possibly not. But nonetheless, yeah, that's what's gonna be happening at WWDC 2025. I did not mention anything, but like VisionOS 26, WatchOS 26, etc. Because those are gonna be having minor updates. So yeah, as said, enjoy tomorrow, because tomorrow's gonna be amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.